Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the Macro Lounge podcast. I'm Chris Bold.
And I'm Rachel. No
She had,
interest
to
today.
she had to think about that for a second. All right, today, what are we going to do? We're going to be diving into the topic that can make or break your journey finding the right coach. I will try not to be biased because that's what I do for a living, not being biased, a bodybuilding coach. But we'll cover what makes a good coach, what you should look for, red flags, and kind of how to be a good athlete too. And
Chris is obviously the biggest red flag.
I'm being red today. But yeah, and throughout this thing, I might maybe just give Rachel a little bit of a hard time along the way because that's kind of what I look forward to every week.
I'm obviously his favorite athlete, and that's why he has to give me a hard time, just so it doesn't look like he's showing favoritism.
Oh, God, you're going to get me in trouble again. Favorite problem child. We like to say Rachel is the OG favorite problem child, so she can never lose that title.
Exactly.
Right. So, why does coaching matter?
So, from a coach's perspective, what do you reckon? Why does coaching matter? And then I'll go from an athlete perspective.
Honestly, I think it's about providing the guidance, right, so that you're not overwhelmed, keeps you as an athlete focused, try and avoid that whole information overload and social media and stuff like that. They try and keep you on track, and I think that's why coaching matters, is it takes all of that noise away. Maybe coaching is like the Ozempic of bodybuilding. It cuts down the noise. We can say that now because it's legally prescribable in New Zealand. But I've not had a lot of experience with personally as a bodybuilding coach, being on the receiving end. Rachel can probably share a little bit more about that. He's had a few.
I have. I've now found a great one. I wonder who that could be. But yes, no, I've had about, 4 coaches, I think. I think something that's really important about coaching is just making sure you trust the coach. If you don't trust them, you start to second guess things, and you start to worry about yourself. So if you are looking in the mirror thinking, oh, maybe I'm not going to be ready, maybe I'm not going to be ready, for me, that's a bit of a sign that you don't actually entirely trust your coach. Usually when I'm doing my check-ins and things, when I do them.
I didn't go there. I did not go there. I was decided I was going to keep that to myself because, you're a very delicate flower. We don't want to upset you.
That's okay. But when I am doing my check-ins, I don't even really look at myself. I just make sure I'm posing properly and that it's a consistent photo. And then I send it off to my coach, and then I don't worry about it because I know that whatever they say, I can trust. If you are worrying about not being ready in time, then you aren't actually trusting your coach to get you ready in time.
Yeah. And I think, it's really, as you said, it's like every coach is slightly different. And look, they're not good. We learn as well as we go along. We learn different skills and different techniques. Like I'm always studying something, I'm always doing a course on something. I'd hate to think how much money I've spent even in the last 12 months on continued education. And some of it's great. And some of it's like, well, that's just a rehashing of the same version of somebody else. But we're always learning as well. We're learning how to communicate better with you guys as athletes. We're reading the research materials that come out. Generally, that comes out and says, what you thought was right is now not right. You're like, oh, sure. But we're also learning, I think, and that's a sign of a good coach, is realizing that you need to keep learning. But I find that my communication style with athletes is not the same now as it was a year ago. I've had some good experiences and some bad experiences. Some of them, communication-wise, you have to. Coaching is about learning what's best for the athlete, I think. And as you said, it's communication. It's like, trust is both ways. Trust is from the athlete to the coach, and from the coach to the athlete. Like from a coach's perspective, we trust that you're actually being honest and truthful with us. We do generally know when you're not. Something doesn't quite add up. You're like, but it's more than just adjusting macros or. I don't know. I think coaching is about being objective in a subjective sport. It's like, helping with during the growth season or the off season. It's about, structuring a physique improvement plan so that, you're improving through the criteria. It's not just about, unless you're a male bodybuilder, it's just basically about getting bigger. but for bikini and wellness and fit model and swimsuit and those classes, it's
Fine
about
tuning.
being objective. Yeah, it's a lot more fine tuning. Um, and I
So
think what a coach's role is it helps you prevent unnecessary delays and mistakes. So kind of um, by keeping you on track, by providing you that guidance and that accountability, they can save you time and they can save you heartache. Um, but they can also have the opposite effect if they don't work for you.
100%.
And it happens, you know?
So going back, you mentioned research before.
Yep.
Now, we know there's not a lot of bodybuilder specific research, slowly getting more, but what's your thoughts on the research versus bro science combination? Is there a preference? Do you use both?
I use both. I mean, the reality of it is there's not a huge amount of research into scientific research into bodybuilding. I mean, yes, there's lots of um, science now, peer reviewed data, and all that sort of stuff around hypertrophy, what type of exercise works best for X, Y, and Z. But the tends to be the data pool can be quite limited. So how much faith is in that? But I think you've got the coaches out there that are all about the science, right? I mean, they're damn near strapping, ECG monitors to you, and like, oh, you're getting X contraction out of this and Y contraction out of that, and you must squat this way, and you must do this, and this is the only way to train because the science says so. And then you got the meathead in the corner who's just left it. Um, you got to combine the two. Um, Again, some things there's not sufficient data one way or the other. It's like when people talk about things like fasted cardio. Some coaches say you must do your cardio fasted every morning. That is one of the 10 commandments of bodybuilding. There is, you know, and then you've got other coaches like me who say, I don't give a shit, just do it when it works for you, because the science out there says, some says it's better, some says it makes no difference. And it's like, look, what works for you? If you're not one of those people who can drag your ass out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning to do an hour plus of cardio, don't do it. Do it later on when you can. So, yeah, I think you got to have a
A
little bit of
mixture.
I mean, there are people out there that will say they've got the latest technique and it's being proven by this, that, and the other thing, and you're like going, dude, it's the same shit they've been doing for 50 years. You've just put a different name on it.
No, agreed, agreed. I actually, for those of you who didn't know, I majored in exercise science in university, so I do agree with Chris on a little bit. Back when I was doing my study, and I actually started personal training for a while back then, I was all about the science, and I didn't make anywhere near as much progress.
I thought you went to TikTok University.
Oh, obviously, obviously, but just while part time, just while I'm doing my full time TikTok.
Ah, right. Yeah. Your full-time influencer studying.
Oh, obviously, obviously, because I can totally be bothered to post to my social media.
You're worse than I am.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, you have other people making posts for you to repost.
That's true. That's generally the theory I go with. Is like, oh, repost. Um,
Anyway, but yes, I do. Yeah, I'm very big on. Yeah, you've also got to find what works. So for some people, what the science says, it won't necessarily work for them. Like
yeah,
with fasted cardio, me for example, I get low blood pressure, especially in the morning because I haven't had any food or water. So for me, fasted cardio, I tend to feel very lightheaded and I almost need to pass out. So
yeah,
for me, that's not a good idea.
no. And I think that's where one of the things about like what makes a good coach is that communication, the honesty, and the experience. We're not seeing so much of it now. Um, Not so much. Well, there's a little bit in New Zealand. Like somebody's done one show, they came third in Waikato, and suddenly they're a prep coach. Um,
We'll say it with
they,
posing.
yeah, you see it with posing as well. But the experience does have a key thing. But I think that's the communication, how they communicate, and the honesty that goes along with it. Things about like timeliness. I think that's really important. But again, it's how that coach communicates with you. It's like I think I mentioned in a previous episode. It's kind of like therapy and dating. You don't generally pour your soul out to somebody on day one, and if you do, you've got some other issues that we need to talk about. Um, but it's like, it's a job of a coach to communicate to you to help ease your anxiety around prep. It's not just about here's your program, here's your diet. I mean, there are coaches out there that everybody gets the same plan on the same day, and that might be slightly tweaked, or everybody gets the same training program. It all comes out on the same day. And so that's cool. If that works for you, that's how you work, that's fine. But I think coaching is more about, it's a teamwork, right? So it's this is an element of you have to do as kind of as you're told, because that's what you're paying the coach for, right? To guide you and direct you. But there is also that side where I think that's where the communication part comes into it. Like, you have to feel that you can say to your coach, hang on a second, that, like, as you said, as Rach said, low blood pressure. Like, what would be the point me telling Rach she's got to do 90 minutes of cardio first thing in the morning? She'd pass out. And if she didn't tell me this and I put it in blindly, well, who does that make the moron, me or her? Me, because I haven't listened, right?
No, one thing I like about Chris's coaching style is that he never makes you feel bad for telling him something. So now we're speaking third person. Sorry, Chris. Um, but yeah, you never feel bad for telling Chris about something. I've had coaches in the past where I've almost felt guilty for messaging them outside of my check-ins to try and tell them something. Sometimes I haven't got a response. Whereas with Chris, he'll go look into it, or he'll message back saying, "Hey, let me look into this, see what we can do about it." And it's never a "oh, you messed up" situation. It's always a "okay, so it happened. Let's see what we can do about it." It's never feeling bad about what's happened. Like, if let's say you've cheated on your diet, it's a "okay, cool, you've done it, is what it is, move on."
Yeah.
Or if it's something that's like an illness or something, he'll be like, "Cool, let me look into that and see how can we
Yeah.
optimize your
How
programming."
can we optimize? And I think, those are things that I've sort of picked up from watching other coaches as well, both good and bad. I will watch coaches and there's things that they do that I don't like and I won't do. And there's things that coaches do that I do like and I'd like to integrate more into how I coach. But this is not an episode about, it's not a sales episode for Bold Physique Coaching. It's about how you're looking for your own coaches.
Yeah.
But I think, like, if something goes wrong, this is my own personal opinion. If something goes wrong and your coach berates and belittles you because you have not followed the plan, and then turns around and says that you are going to affect their reputation because of your final conditioning or because you're not doing something right, that's a red flag, because things go wrong. You get sick or something comes up that causes you to, I don't know, fall off the wagon, if you like, for a lack of a better term. So it's not, don't make somebody feel bad because they went and ate a freaking Krispy Kreme 6-pack of donuts. It's more like, let's have a look at why, not what you did. Can't change what. If it's happened, it's happened. What are we going to do? I can't, like, shove my fingers down your throat and pull the food out of your mouth. Um,
Don't do that,
it's,
people, by the way. Don't do
yeah,
that.
no, don't do that. Don't do that. But it's more, and this is where I think coaching is about. It's like, okay, why did it happen? How do we avoid that from happening again? Are you dieting too hard? You know, again, that's where um, I think individualization of coaching comes into it, and
Definitely.
I think that affects, ultimately, it'll impact your stage outcome. Is that you feel that you can openly communicate. And as I said, look, don't get me wrong, I don't get it right all the time. I've lost some clients in the past because my communication has been not what they're looking for. Sometimes they don't stick. And it's okay. I don't have anything against people like that. It's just that's life.
Yeah, definitely. The different coaching styles will work for different people. So, um, Chris's coaching style is much, as we've just said, it's like, let's figure out what the situation is. Whereas I have had coaches in the past who are very much more like, this is the plan, you follow it to a T, this is it. It's like the hardcore kind of mindset. So there's different styles of coaching, and that's not to say one is right and one is wrong. It's to say they're different. So for me, that hardcore style doesn't necessarily work as well, because bodybuilding is not my number one priority at the moment. Back when it was, that style worked fine. It was great. I enjoyed doing the hardcore, but right now that's not where I'm at. So it does depend a little bit on what you need out of a coach as well. Different coaches, even if they are the best coach in the world, if their style doesn't work for you, they're not going to be the best coach in the world for you.
And you're not going to know that straight off. So, try a few, and don't feel, look, it's not marriage, you don't have to go through a 2-year divorce process.
Okay, on that, sorry, I'm going to interrupt, but if a coach ever makes you feel bad for leaving, they were a terrible coach and you were right to leave. Um, a coach should never ever make you feel bad for leaving, and that is something I'm very, very adamant on. Like, I've done coaching before. I've been a PT. I was a swim coach. Your coach should want the best for you. If they are telling you that you are wrong for leaving them because, or even taking a break because it's not what's right for you at the moment, then they obviously don't actually care about you. And that kind of, for me, is always like well, yes, you made the right decision to leave. They should never ever make you feel bad. That should always be okay, cool, thank you for telling me, like, awesome, I'm so glad that you're now moving on to bigger, better things. Like, they should be happy for you to, I guess, be expanding. um yeah, that's something I am a bit
Don't
passionate
get me
about.
wrong. I mean, when somebody does leave you and go to um, another coach, or they retire, whatever it is, but generally, like, they leave you and go to another coach, it hurts a little bit. I mean, to be honest, even if you're like, oh, thank God, got rid of that one, which
Which Chris
does
has
happen.
never done.
I've fired a few athletes before. Um, I think, yeah, if that person makes you feel bad, then you made the right call. Now, if that person turns around and says, "Look, cool, I wish I could support you more. Good luck on your journey. Here if you need me." Cool. Okay. That's how it should be. That's called being a grown up, right?
It's also
As I
business.
said, yeah,
Coaching, you're paying for a service.
yeah, it's not a divorce. There's not children involved. I hope not. Um, it's people move on. Coaching's like a train, right? People get on, people get off. Some people stay for a long time. Some people are just short. But as I said, try a few coaches out. If they've got like a minimum period, which most of us do, at least be prepared to invest the minimum period, or you know, be open with the coach that you're just looking at trialing out. Some coaches will just say, look, you're either in it or you're out. And they can be quite protective. And that's fine. That's their business. That's how they do it. Um, but especially if you're just starting out in looking at coaching, don't feel the need to be obligated for a lifetime to that person.
Yeah.
If they've got a minimum period, be prepared to commit to that minimum period. Coaches only have so many slots, right? They only have so much time. There's only so much time that we can put into anything. So you have to be respectful of that. This is how they make their money. But
What's your onboarding process then?
it takes way too long. You've
So
sat
if
through it.
someone's
It takes
interested in
forever.
coaching with you, how would they go about it? Let's say I message you and I'm like, hey Chris, I'm kind of interested in your services.
I always think, I always offer a free consult, right? Which, does it matter? I don't know. I personally think that's kind of like going on the first coffee date.
Hmm.
Like, do you like me? And also, do I like you? Um, I will not take everybody on. If I feel that we're just not going to gel, um, that there's not going to be that input, that buy-in from both of us. I think that free consult, that initial consult, that's what it's part of. But that's also, from me, it is the opportunity for you to ask me questions and to see if I raise any red flags for you. It's also my opportunity to see if you raise any red flags for me. Um, so I think the initial, just having that no obligation chat with any coach. And if a coach just says, look, no, I don't do that, you either sign up for the 12 weeks or 16 weeks or whatever it is, to me, that's a red flag. So I think you go through initial consult, be prepared. I like athletes to come to me with a list of questions. I will send you a list and say, look, here's what I'd like you to have ready for me for that consult. Generally, most consults are remote. Uh, don't really do that many in person anymore, but remote. So I'll ask, send me a front, side, and back picture of recent, and if you have competed before, and also your last time on stage. Give me an idea of what sort of training you have been doing, all that sort of carry on, and sort of more questions about you. So I'm prepared when I go in, so that we can sort of hit the ground running, and we can sort of talk about what your styles are and all that sort of stuff. But I think it's really good when you go into that consult with your questions ready to answer. There are things like, how do you handle if you've got a history of binge eating disorder? Ask the coach, how would you handle this if this happens? If you have a preference to X, Y, and Z federation, go IFBB. You can go the other one. I was waiting for Rachel to go, ICN, but she didn't. She didn't take the bait.
No, I did leave that one, but I was about to point out that I'm not seeing my ICN awards on your wall.
Wrong office. Shh, get me in trouble. Shut up. She does like to remind me of that on a frequent basis. But yeah, it's going with your questions. Like, I want to do ABC Federation. Okay, why? What's your attraction to it? What are you seeing? What do you like? Blah, 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 blah. But that's your initial stage of just sort of finding out, how does that person do their coaching. So I'm pretty open about it. It's like, this is how I coach. Very, very communicative, very personal. It's, people often joke, they call me the gym dad, and Valerie, my wife, the gym mom, for a reason. That's kind of how it happens, and we're okay with that. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, and that's fine. There's other coaches out there that'll do a good job. But I think, the key thing is going in that initial consult with questions you want answered. And if you come from a previous coach, it's normally, I'm not going to ask who your coach was, because 9 out of 10 times I'll know, because it's a small industry. And you normally have tagged them somewhere in your social media, which I've stalked before you've come in. Yes, I do. Actually, I'll rephrase that. My wife does that. You cannot hide from my wife. She is the queen of social media stalking, which is
And
why
also
we
just
love
in
her.
social media in general. She's amazing. Little shout out to our amazing girl.
She does everything. This is we drive her insane, but she does everything.
We would be lost.
Yeah, so it's like, be prepared to sort of say, well, if you were with ABC coach, why are you looking at leaving? What didn't work for you? Because this is your opportunity. Remember, the coach works for you, not the other way around.
Yes.
I'm on your team. You're not necessarily on my team. You're paying me or any coach to provide you with a service. So ultimately, you got to make sure it's a service that you want to buy. And this consult is your opportunity to ask that. I mean, Rachel came in for her consult and she was scared to death.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, yeah, no, I used to think Chris was so scary. Oh, my God. When he first messaged me about like the bikinis before he even announced that he was coaching, I was so terrified. I was like, oh, my God, why is the head judge calling me? What does he want? Chris is not scary, guys. He's amazing. I think he could be scary if he wanted to be, but he's a softie.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's a curse, but that's all right. I can live with it. But yeah, still remember Rachel walked in for a consult and she was just like, literally, like, she looked terrified. It's like, I'm not that mean, really. Come on.
Okay, let me correct you there. I believe one of the first things you said to me was, look at your shoulders. I thought you were a swimmer. Where's your shoulders?
Oh, it's true. I did say that.
That was quite insulting.
To be fair, it was the first time I'd seen you in anything more than a bikini.
That's true. But no, Chris is very lovely, and you should not be scared of him. He will not. He doesn't bite. He's amazing. But no, what are some red flags that you look for in a athlete when you're doing that consult?
Vagueness is a big red flag. Also, to be fair to the coaching industry in general, if you spend the entire 30 minutes of that consult slagging off your coach,
yeah.
I don't need to know how bad that person was. I just need to know that the relationship's not working. Also, And it's going to sound really bad, but if somebody is sitting there in a consult and the number one thing they're worried about is how much I'm going to charge, then you're not actually ready for this process or the sport, because this is not cheap. This sport is not cheap, and my time is not free. I will give blindly, but if you're going to be sitting there saying, "Oh, I can really only afford X per week," then if that's your primary focus. So money shouldn't be it. As I said, being vague, being insulting about their previous coaches, also being blind in potential. Like, I've never competed before, and I'm going to do one regional show. I'm going to win my pro card, and then I'm going to the Olympia next year. You're like,
Probably not.
that's probably not going to happen. It sounds really weird and it's really old fashioned, but a red flag for me is being late.
So that makes me the ultimate red flag.
Pretty much. But no, I assume you're going to be late. That's just a
I
given.
believe
It's
I was
like,
on time for my consult.
that is true. That is true. No, it's very, very, very true.
I was late for everything.
With Rachel, we have a calendar. We have an alarm clock that has a 15-minute window. It's like, if it says 11, what it really means is set the alarm clock for 10:45, and she'll be perfectly on time.
Yep. So yeah, just tell me 15 minutes earlier, and then that's basically when I show up.
And it's like, brilliant. So I know not to be ready at 11 o'clock because I know she'll be there at 11:15. That's cool.
Yes.
But
Yep.
we know this. We know.
Yeah, we know the system. It's communication.
Exactly. It comes down to communication. But so the consults, it's like red flags. Like, also, you should be looking for red flags as an athlete.
Definitely.
Yeah. If the whole time you're doing your consult and the coach is telling you how good they are and how successful they've been and how many pro cards they've won and how many this they've won and that they've won. Initial consult, it's not a freaking Oscar winning speech. It's like, well, it's a job interview for both of you.
I'm trying to figure out if you're
So,
going to work together. Not a
yeah.
sales pitch. If it's a sales pitch, then obviously either they really, really need clients, or they're not probably going to actually care about you as a person.
Yeah, it's just like, look, and it's not just me. It's, I do work with clients all around the world, and there are, we said this on the first episode. It's like, look, this is just our opinions, and if we offend somebody's delicate sensibilities, that's more their problem than my problem. But if a coach offers to take you on for free, you are there for the product, not the athlete, because there is an expectation of what you have to do for it. And more than likely, they're taking you on for marketing purposes.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but I'm not anybody's product.
No, I haven't done any full sponsorships. I know a lot of companies do, but I haven't done any full sponsorships. I've given a few of the pros some discounts, but I haven't done any free.
Yeah. No, so it's like, if the coach is chasing you, saying, "I'll take you on for free and I will make you the superstar,"
that's actually a red flag for me. Is when coaches start talking about your placings. For me, I don't. I mean, obviously, yes, you might have a goal for a placing. Like, you might want to say, "I want to top 3." Generally, I would say, don't say straight up, I want to win this specific show, because you can't say who's going to show up. But if you can say, maybe I would love to come top 3, that gives you a little bit of leeway. So aim for first, but kind of expect that it possibly won't exactly happen. But yeah, for me, it's a bit of a red flag for coaches to say, okay, cool, we're going to get our pro card in this specific year. We're going to place first at this show. Like, nobody can promise you that.
And if they are, that's usually when they're like, there is that person who is very, very good and well advanced, or they have a massive social media following.
And that's true. There is one person on our team that we can probably guarantee that she's going to win.
But again, if she doesn't, it's not the end of the world.
No. I mean, I'll be mad on her behalf.
Yeah, her time will come. There's a couple, actually. There's a couple that this year at different levels and different shows, I think, have a real good shot. But at the end of the day, we can't control it.
You can't control what's going to show up.
So it's a thing. Like, again, red flag for me is, from a coaching perspective, if they promise you the world, they can't deliver it. None of us can, All we can promise you is that, look, we'll do the best by you. So, as I said, I've never been coached by anybody. When I was competing, coaches were like, it's a coach. When it's coaches, it's bodybuilding. You pick it up, put it down, eat it. That's not very complicated. So Rachel's had a few experience with it, but like you've got to get, like, as an athlete, right? You've got to get the best out of your coaching relationship. So, having gone through a few different styles of coach, Rach, do you have any tips for people on how they can be a good athlete and how they can get the most out of the process?
So definitely, as I said, communication is huge. You shouldn't be afraid to communicate with your coach, and if they aren't communicating back, then that's a them issue, not a you issue. Um, I think a lot of first timers, it gets quite scary to communicate with your coach, especially if you join a coach that's well known. I have joined a very well known team before, and when I first joined, it was quite scary for me and thinking, oh my god, I need to live up to this expectation of being on this team. So be aware of that as well, because sometimes with those types of teams, you do feel like there's an expectation. But definitely, I think the most important thing is finding someone whose style is going to work with what you need. If you need someone who's going to be hardcore and that's all you want, you're going to be just very like, I just want to follow this plan to the T and that's it, then that's fine. You find a coach who's going to be able to do that for you. Something I always recommend is talk to the clients and also the ex clients. If you only talk to current clients, obviously we're going to be a little bit biased on the current coach. You're probably going to get someone like people who are going to just talk them up. If you talk to ex clients, they're also going to say, okay, well, this is why I left. So then you get both sides of the spectrum. There is also a coaching Reddit. So on the bikini Reddit, I love the bikini Reddit. It's amazing. Go into the bikini talk
Yeah,
page.
you've got me. You've got me into that now. It's like I will sleep. She knows I struggle enough with Instagram, and then Rachel said, "Look, there's this thing called Reddit, and they have this bikini. My God, the gossip is amazing.
It's so
I could get lots. It's like, oh, bitch. No, they're moving on.
So there is a whole coaches page there. It's not just New Zealand; it is a worldwide thing. So there is probably not many New Zealand coaches on there, but it does go through a lot of the. It's anonymous, so there is a lot of experiences on there. But yes, that's something you can look at. But yeah, definitely talk to clients and previous clients. Only current clients is going to be a bit of a biased point of view, and I've made that mistake before, where I only talk to current clients, and then those clients all left within a year.
Yeah, and look, as I said, people leave, people come, people go, and it's how you handle that. Both as a coach and as an athlete. Some people, look, I've had people leave and then go septic, and it's like even I'm standing there going, what happened? I don't know, but I don't take it personally anymore. It's just like, okay, cool.
Another thing I will say on different coaching styles is don't like usually with bodybuilding prep, you're going to be on chicken, rice, and mince, generally is the basics of bodybuilding. It's kind of your building blocks. I mean, obviously, if you're vegan, there's going to be slight differences, but those are going to be kind of your base foods. So if you're going to a coach because they're promising that you're going to get all these fancy foods, for me, that's a red flag both ways. Um, you shouldn't be looking for someone to just give you all the food that you want because you're not going to get lean enough. You at the end of the day, all the coaches I've had have all kind of had those staple foods in my diet: chicken, rice, mince. It's
Yeah,
staple.
chicken, rice, broccoli, repeat.
Sorry, oats are very important. They're at the top of the food chain. um, if a coach is promising you, yeah, you can eat all these breads and stuff, like it's going to be very hard for you to get lean. Um, and that's usually for me a sign of they're trying to sell you rather than to actually make you like progress. Usually you can integrate other things, but
Well, especially during the growth season or the off
yes.
season, you can, you can. There's a lot more flexibility. But again, this is why I like to coach athletes year round rather than just do prep, because the magic happens in the off season, growth season. Um, and yes, then you can have the burritos and you can have, you know, this, that, and the other thing. But when it comes to prep, there's a reason they've been doing chicken, rice, and broccoli for the last God knows how many years, because it's kind of like that's what works.
Oh, why don't you explain how you write your meal plans, Chris? So, what does it look like when someone gets their table with their meal plan? Because I've had coaches where it's literally just listed the food. What does yours look like? What's included in that kind of table or sheet?
It's dependent on each person and where they are in the year. That's why, look, anybody, I mean, as you know, Rachel, it's like whenever we do a check-in or a change in plan or, start thing, it's like you don't get it that day. It takes me about 4 to 6 hours to write the plan for you because I've got to go through what you can and cannot eat. I mean, we've got one girl on the team who's allergic to fruit.
Poor girl.
I know. It's the something to do with the fruit pollen.
Oh,
I did almost accidentally try and kill her once when she was up here for dinner, and she looked at me and said, "Are you trying to kill?" I was like,
maybe.
well, I didn't. I know you're a celiac, so I didn't put any gluten in it. What did I forget?" And she's like, "Did I have a deathly allergy to fruit?" I went, "Oh, heck that way." Um, oops, that would not look good.
Don't worry, I do that
Um,
to my sister all the time.
yeah.
Not allergy.
So, oh yeah, I've almost done that a couple of times. But yeah, it's generally it's like it depends on the person, right? Like sometimes like it will be it will be very specific, and I'll actually have written a recipe for something. Like a lot of the girls like cheesecakes, so
A cheesecake. Oh,
I've developed quite a few recipes. I've got a new one actually. It's pretty good.
so you guys, if
Um,
honestly, that's a reason to join the team. It's the
yeah,
cheesecake.
yeah, I
Hmm.
do have a couple of variations, which are quite tasty. Um, Sometimes it'll be a recipe, right, or something like that. But generally, by and large, it will be each meal will be broken down. I'll try and be timing based around what your schedule is and all that sort of carry on, so you get the most around it. When you train, that sort of carry on, so we can time carbs and all that sort of carry. And then it'll list what protein that I've specified for that particular day, how much generally protein is in raw weight because that's how you cut it. Um, I do spend a lot of time talking through people how to calculate raw versus cooked. Um, and then it'll be very specifically broken down. Sometimes it will be a little bit more, if you like, palatable, depending on where we're at in the year. Um, but yeah, I try to leave as little to the imagination as possible so that you don't have to think about it. But especially with the initial plan, I think that's a really important thing that people understand is like when you first start with a coach, I don't know your body. I don't know what you like. I don't know what you dislike. I don't know how your body's going to react. Like suddenly, we make some changes to it, and your dietary habits, your digestive habits go out the freaking window. Um, that's the communication side. It's like, okay, no, not doing that. Okay, we'll take that out and we'll put it around. Again, that's the flexibility side. As we go through the year, we get to know a better understanding of each other and how you work. And then it's less back and forth. It's more like, okay, we're on here. And when you're on prep, pretty much the only thing that changes is portion size. Carbs get less and less and less until you go, what's a carb? Um, but
Well,
it's
I
everything.
haven't said that.
No, never been a problem for you. You are unique. You're what they call the unicorn.
Mm. Oh no,
Yeah.
I'd be a unicorn if I could actually build muscle.
Well, your glutes are pretty good.
Yeah, but like if I could get like jacked, like I want to be like you walk into the gym and you see that jack chick and you're like, damn, that has always been my goal, but sadly my body doesn't agree with that goal.
I think you're being a little harsh on yourself, but that's all right.
No, no, like
Um,
it was jacked.
but yeah, so plans take time. As I said, if you don't expect to get something back straight away, and if you get it within half an hour, it's a prepared plan.
Yeah.
Um, it's not custom for you, no matter what they say. Um, and look, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're paying for, right? But you're not paying for that with me. You're paying for an individual stuff. Um, and again, the we were talking about comes back to the communication. So when a plan's written, it's like you communicate back, like I just cannot eat that amount of time. We've got one of the newest team members has recently had gastric bypass surgery. So as you imagine, is trying to get enough calories into her when there's only a certain amount that her stomach can handle at one stage. Poor thing's eating every 90 minutes, because that's all her stomach can handle. Some people, they're constantly eating 6 times a day. So, we have to work around that. But yeah, it should be everything I do is like the plans are custom, and I send them in PDFs. I don't like to use a lot of apps and stuff like that, mainly because I'd rather you spend your time focusing on what you need to rather than with your nose and your phone. So, but it comes down to, again, everything comes down to the communication line. We talk about what makes a good athlete. Like to me, your check-ins. Rachel leaves the room. check-ins are really, really important. It's how we get the details of what's going on. We get the pictures, and
Make your
that's why we have
check-ins consistent, people. Oh my
that's
god,
what the question is.
I see so many people post like progress photos, and there's just a different lighting and a different angle.
Yeah, stand
So
in the
yeah, make
same
sure that
place, wear
food
the
is
same bikini.
always the same.
Yeah, and it's a really important part of the process. Look, if you don't engage in that check-in part of the process, don't expect customized coaching. You
Oh, what
deserve the cookie cutter approach.
my logic is, if I can make myself look like have the lighting make me look the worst possible, theoretically on show day I will look even better because you thought I looked worse. Does that make sense?
Actually, yep. No, that's
Like,
actually
I
a
know a
very
lot of
good.
people play with it, try to make themselves look the best in their check-ins,
Exactly.
but I'm like, but then you're not getting an accurate picture. Isn't it better to make yourself think you're worse, and then
Mhm.
it's just only up from there?
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. It's just like, as long as it's the same every week, you're standing in the same position, wearing the same bikini, doing all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's why we give you the posing bikini when you sign up. It's like, this is what I want you to wear because it's consistent. Um, but
Posing
yeah,
bikinis are important for check-ins, guys.
yep. But I think, yeah, it's again, engage in the check-in process and you'll get custom coaching. If you don't want custom coaching, then don't pay for it. But I think that's again comes down to what your expectation is of your coach. Do you have a realistic time frame of when what you're trying to do? If it's unrealistic and you're rushing in, you're going to have poor outcomes. It's like somebody just recently asked, of these problems they had from over dieting or dieting too hard. Well, you just picked the wrong show. Um,
So if you think that someone's not going to be ready for a show, because obviously sometimes things happen, the body doesn't respond
yeah,
as we expect, will you tell them?
yeah. I think it's my job to tell them, right? It's like, I mean, you run the risk of losing them because they'll go, man, thank you, I'm going to go somewhere else. You're like, okay, fine, off you go. Sorry, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. If I think it's unhealthy for you, then yeah, I'll tell you. But also, sometimes shit happens. It's not your fault. Something happened.
Yeah.
You bought a house. Your priorities have shifted for a little bit. That's okay. Some people, they have children. Well,
Oh,
that was
another.
awfully rude and inconsiderate of you. What'd you do that for?
How
Some
dare
people go
you
out and
have
buy
a
a
life?
cat,
How,
but we won't talk about them.
hey, the cat is going to do cardio with me. Okay, we're going to get a little cat treadmill, and it's going to be next to me doing my cardio. That's gonna
It's
be
a
how you get me doing cardio.
it's a Mancoon. They're not designed for cardio. They're like sloths with legs.
They got lots of muscle. That's why they need so much protein.
Okay, fair
You might
enough.
have to start feeding me the cat's food.
Oh, God.
I have
Just
seen
don't ask
jokes
me.
about that actually, because cat food is actually really high in protein.
I know.
Anyway, on that note, I was going to ask you a question. Very important for an athlete preference. Do you pull cardio first or food first? Which is the priority to be pulling as we get deeper into prep? Do we have more cardio, less food, or less food, more cardio? I don't know if that made sense.
It depends. It really does. Everybody's different. Like generally, I go with the rule pulling food first to a certain level, with a gradual increase in cardio. Um, because obviously, unless you're a pro, right? This is not your life. It's not your job. You do actually have to work. You've got relationships. You've got all that sort of stuff. But generally, as a rule of thumb, food will come down, cardio input will go up, right? But there's a point where food can only come down so low, and cardio can only go up so much. And if the delta between those two is substantial, fire your freaking coach because he's trying to kill you.
Is
Um,
there a, I'm going to be a bit naughty here, but is there kind of some general numbers that you think are red flags? So, like, if food goes below a certain amount of calories, generally for majority of people, or cardio goes to a certain height, that you should start asking questions at least.
Again, I think it's subject to the individual, and there's certain coaches out there that really are low calorie. You know, um, I should preface with I don't think that rule applies to bikini, wellness, and fit model, swimsuit, etc., because you're not trying to get that super grainy conditioning type look. You're not going to what we would say bodybuilders going to that dark place where it gets freaking ugly. We're not really, that dangerous point. I personally, if it's a standard bikini athlete who's in that between 50 to 60 kilo mark on stage, I don't feel comfortable pushing them below 1,200 calories max minimum. It's variable. It's how
Very
you respond. If you respond well, we can keep doing it. But to drop calories just for the sake of dropping calories, eh, the rule says every week we got to drop X. It's like, how is this person responding? Sometimes dropping their calories has the opposite effect. Their metabolism shuts down, their digestion process shuts down, they just stop losing weight. And the same goes with cardio. I have seen girls 20 weeks out that are on 180 to 240 odd minutes of cardio a day, and it's like, and they're already on 1,200 calories. I'm like, where do you go from there? Again, you still have to be healthy, right? Preserve your femininity, preserve your health. To what I call founding principles.
And the fun thing about bodybuilding is that we're the opposite to every other sport, and it's actually best to be bad at cardio because then you're less fit and you burn more calories at once.
This is true. And it also does not have to be on the Stairmaster, ladies. I'm sorry, I don't know where that one started, but Stairmaster is not the be all and end all. In fact, to some people, it's probably not a good idea. But again, there's no hard and fast rule.
But as a general, maybe you should ask some questions at least.
Yeah, and also look,
I don't always know.
If you start feeling like shit, start asking some. I mean, don't get me wrong. Prep is supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy.
Last 4 weeks is generally going to feel like shit.
Yeah, and so it should. I mean, you basically
but if you're 12 weeks out and you're feeling like shit, that maybe ask some questions.
Then you start asking questions. Yeah. So yeah, there's always a plan, but the plan has to adjust to the athlete, not the other way around.
I've got another one for coaching differences. Peak week, because there is a lot of different ideas around what peak week should look like. Some people do a lot of water loading. Some people do say you have to rest the whole week. Some people do all these extremes. What's your thoughts on peak week?
Personally, I think you should be ready for a show 4 weeks up, which is generally why I advise longer preps. And I'm normally looking at 20 weeks. And the reason for that is I like to allow for possibly a dietary reset in there somewhere where things aren't going well, like maybe 2 weeks. But also, if you're ready 3 to 4 weeks out from a show, you don't need to do anything extreme because you're not going to get any leaner. It's just a case of manipulating a few little variables to look your best. So if you have to do anything drastic in peak week, you fucked it up. Not to put it too bluntly.
So you want to be well rested, not dead on stage. If you are exhausted on stage, it will show. Every little facial expression shows on stage.
Yeah, and sure, week a lot of people they're cutting down, and some people say, "Oh, don't train legs, 5 days out from a show from a scar tissue and inflammation." Well, okay, maybe if you're a open bodybuilder or a classic bodybuilder or something like that. Some people say you should not do any exercise 3 days before the show. Look, it's all variable as long as you can maintain your condition, as I said. And if you're ready, it is really just a case of manipulating the carbohydrates, the water intake, and sodium and stuff like that. Just playing around. And I like to, as I said, 4 weeks early because then we can try multiple peaks. X amount of carbs. Do we like the look? No, back it off. Load carbs differently, load water differently, load sodium differently. And also, bikini girls, water loading only works if you need to cut weight. You don't have a weight restriction in bikini. So who gives a flying? Works for when I work with contact sports like mixed martial arts and Muay Thai and stuff like that, when those guys have to drop 10 kilos in 2 days. Okay, water cutting works. Water loading, water cutting works. But from a bikini girl, now I've seen bikini coaches who put bikini girls on 10 liters of water. It's like, she's 50 kilos for crying out loud. Her back teeth are swimming.
I've been on 8.
Yeah, stupid.
That wasn't fun.
Yeah, so that's my person. But anyway, as I said, with coaching, I think it's really just look out for the red flags. Coaches who ghost clients. I've seen that happen before. I haven't heard from my coach in 2 weeks. I've got my show this week. They give you a one size fits all plan, promise rapid transformations, promise pro cards, promise placings without context. They push unsafe practices, whether it's natural or using enhancements. They discourage questions. To me, those are red flags. You should be another question. But I think the green flags you should be looking for is coaches who educate, individualize, encourage questions, explain changes, respect your health and your stage goals. I like to say that.
Oh, I was going to say something more specific to females as well is looking for a coach that can actually coach females is very important because female body is very different to a male body, and especially depending on enhancements or not. There is a lot. I know it's not as much of a thing anymore, but when I first started, it was a huge issue. All these male bodybuilders coaching
Yeah,
bikini girls as if they were bodybuilders. So making sure that your coach actually knows how does the female body work. That's very important.
yeah. But you also have to, I think, as a male coach, you've got to. We don't know what you're going through. Okay,
That's what
we
we've got
never
Mama
will.
Val for.
Yep. We like to think we do, but we don't. You know. But again, that's like you look for a coach that doesn't treat you like you're a small boy.
Yes. And
You
also, you
know.
do need to be able to be comfortable talking to about some of the things. Like, for example, your coach probably does need to know if you're going to get your period the week before your show or on your show.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit important. So you
Yeah.
do need to be able to discuss these things with your coach.
Yeah. And if they're embarrassed about it, then that's a them problem, not a you problem.
Red flag.
Um, yeah, another red flag. Another red flag is somebody who promises you a pro card in 12 weeks. I will get you. And you're like, actually, a coach who promises you anything other than I promise you that you will be in the best shape that you've ever been in. Because that's the only thing that we can control.
Well, I promise you can be on stage
Yeah.
because you can.
I
Just
saw
take.
something recently on Instagram. There was a girl, I believe it's in New Zealand. She's going to do a bodybuilding show. Not what you would call a stereotypical bodybuilder, right? And the number of people who were calling this woman out saying that she was belittling the sport and this, that, and the other thing is
So I believe
disgusting.
who you're talking about is actually one of my clients. She is incredible.
Yeah.
Um, she
Bodybuilding is
completely
not
changed my
about
mind with
winning.
transformation.
Yeah.
So
Bodybuilding is not about winning. And she doesn't, I don't believe she's doing the transformation class. She's like, I want to get on a bodybuilding stage. Yeah. Does she look like a bodybuilder? Or like what you would call a bodybuilder?
but no, there is definitely those who. So some people will enter transformation, but yeah, she like one of my clients. She completely she changed my mind about this completely because the way she went about it was so amazing. Like a lot of people will not prep properly and go on stage, and that's kind of the thought about that. If you're not lean enough, people haven't put in the effort. For me, you can tell as soon as they get on stage if they put the effort in or not by their posing. They can pose, they have put in the effort, fine, be there. Doesn't matter what condition you're in because you've put in the effort to be there and to do your best. If they can't pose and they're still there, then yeah, maybe a little probably should have left
Yeah.
it. But no,
There's always a
anyone can get
bodybuilding
on
show.
stage. Anyone,
Yeah.
you just have to pay the entry fee.
Yeah. Just to pay. There's always that one good person at a show where you look at and go, did they lose a bet? Anyway, we've probably waffled along enough of it. So just to wrap it up, good coaches communicate. They
Yes.
educate, they individualize. Athletes, you have to be ask questions. Coaching's a two-way relationship. Again, as I said, the coach works for you, not the other way around. The coach is on your team. You're not on their team. My team might be called Team Bold Physique. All I am is just a vehicle to get these guys on stage, these guys and girls on stage. So yeah, do your research, find out what your red flags are. Don't be bullied into being part of anything that you just doesn't feel right to you. You know, it's not about who's the biggest, who's the best, who's the most.
Don't join a team just because your friend's on that team.
Yeah. And you know what? And if you're on a team and you're worried about what might happen if you leave the team, well, that's a them problem, not a you
That
problem. And it doesn't always work out, and that's okay. You know,
different
it's
people.
okay. Yeah, it's different. Look, we are all people, and this is a people sport. So,
But yes, if you
um,
don't communicate, your coach can only do so much. They cannot do something for you if they don't know that you're having an issue. They can't fix it if they don't know it exists. So you
and
need
we
to.
also don't know everything. You know,
You don't know everything, Chris?
no,
What?
no, I don't.
This is news
But
to me.
I know. Well, that's because you haven't had that many problems. But yeah, if we don't know the answer, then our job is to say, let me find somebody who can give you the answer. whether it's a medical person, whether it's from a physical health perspective or a mental health perspective. As I've mentioned before, it takes a village to raise an idiot. It's the same with bodybuilding. Sometimes you need more than just the coach. You need more than just the posing coach. You do need that support, whether it's from other teammates or whether it's from bringing in a mental health professional to help you with that. It is okay to not know the answer. The key thing is to admit that you don't know the answer and say you're going to find out.
I think that's very important for a coach to be able to admit if they don't know something rather than saying, oh, yeah, I know, and then give you whatever advice they pull up from the internet.
Yeah.
It's important to be able to say, this isn't my expertise, but this is what I found, and this is what I can recommend based on that. But again, not my specialty. Like, it's important to be able to say that.
Yeah, it's why we bring in outside coaches to do posing. It's like, do I know posing from a judging perspective, and can I pull it apart? Sure. Can I teach you how to transition from front to back? Hell no. It's so bring in the experts. From a medical perspective and a blood work perspective, when something is outside of what makes sense, I'm not going to go to ChatGPT and ask them for its professional opinion. I put it in the hands of people you like. But anyway, if you do have any questions about coaching, whether it's about joining our team or any team, or just want to know what to look for, send us a DM. We're happy to help point you in the right direction. If you want to have a chat about just the sport in general, reach out to either Rachel and I. We're both passionate advocates for this sport. And as I said, she's had more experience with coaching than I have. So reach out and ask her. She's more than happy to help out there.
I also do stalk a lot of coaches. Especially when I was looking into changing coaches, I do a lot of research, and I do stalk a lot of social media. So I can generally tell you at least patterns of most of the local coaches that I've seen as well. Because I did look a lot at what do I see from these athletes. So
remember that this is your journey, not theirs. And most importantly, have fun with it. Bodybuilding shouldn't suck unless you're trying to go for a pro card. Then I'm sorry, it's going to suck when you're at that level. And it's supposed to. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was, everybody would do it. Anyway, I'm sure we've waffled on enough. Rachel, I believe we'll be back next Saturday.
I hope so.
I always look forward to these chats. It's like, it's always fun. I get to see Rachel every week, and it's like, yay.
What
do we talk about next Saturday? Do you remember? I can't.
I don't remember either, I'm going to be honest. We'll figure it out. We do have a list, but if you want to add to that list, let us know. Send us a message, and then we can add your topic into the list.
Anyway, again, thank you for joining us at the Macro Lounge. If you enjoyed today's chat, hit subscribe, leave a review. Apparently, we're available on all forms of podcasting platforms now. So thank you very much to our wonderful producer who we have slowly driving insane. We'll see you next Saturday, and I'm sure we will see Rachel then as well. All right. Thank you very much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.